Evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending on what time you are watching this program. You are welcome to the Inspired Family Leader Program, a riveting, inspiring, and empowering platform to empower men to become better leaders in their homes, in their families, and in the community. My name is Jesse Ainebiona. I'm a certified professional coach, an entrepreneur, a global speaker, a corporate trainer, an international facilitator, and the training and development associate of Inspired Leaders International, an international leadership development firm that empowers leaders to transform nations. I'm the husband to Diana, a father to Ruby, to Moriah, and to Jordan. We have been married now for 10 years. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary last week, and we are excited as a family. Tonight, we are going to be reflecting on an important conversation, and I'm sitting in for my friend and colleague Samuel Bakutana, who is the usual host for the program. We send you regards and greetings, Samuel. Tonight we are going to be having a very quintessential topic, and this is the topic of retirement. They say there are 3 R's that might be inevitable throughout one's working life. It might be the R of retirement, it might be the R of restructuring, it might be the R of retrenchment. Tonight, we are going to be talking about retirement. What is it? How do we prepare for it? What can we do for us to be able to retire with enjoyment? Bringing home this wonderful conversation tonight is someone that has been on the show for 2 times. This is now the 3rd time. Amos Mugenyi Kakuru. You are most welcome.
Thank you very much, my brother, Jesse.
Thanks for coming.
The pleasure is purely mine.
Great. Would you just introduce yourself? Tell us a bit more about yourself, your work, your family. I know you've been here before, but for the sake of those who are watching you for the first time, tell us a bit more about who Amos is.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jesse, and a very good evening to you, our viewers. Good morning to those who are in a different time zone, and good afternoon to whoever it is that is in an afternoon wherever they are. My name is Kakuru Amos Mugenyi, and I am a human resource practitioner. I work within the financial sector, and I am married to one, Mrs. Mugenyi Mildred, and I am a father of 3. When Jesse was introducing himself, he mentioned their names, so I'll pick that one. I am a father of Avram, Adriel, and Aaron. Those are my little ones, and I am happy to be here.
Great.
Yes.
The triple A connection.
Triple A indeed.
Yes. Thank you, Amos. And I'm glad that you bring a great experience of HR, because this topic that we are talking about is something that you probably interface with quite a lot.
Yes, please.
About a week or 2 ago, I had a conversation with someone who has been in banking for over 30 years.
Okay.
And his last day of work is on 24th November.
24th November.
Which should be tomorrow.
Okay,
so, so tomorrow is his last day.
His very last day.
Of course, tomorrow is a Sunday, so his last day was on Friday. Wow. And as we had this conversation, retirement, thinking through, planning, what are some of your concerns, what have you done, I observed that he has really paid attention to a number of things. In fact, we concluded by saying, I can't wait. I am looking forward to my time in retirement, including doing things like a PhD program. Wow. This is someone that has put his mind to retirement. Have you put your thoughts and your mind to retirement? But as we think about that, what is retirement?
All right. Thank you, Jesse. I'll put it just barely as that time when someone chooses to leave the workplace and go and handle other things that are not the usual 8 to 5 work that they are doing.
Okay.
This could even be a business person who has chosen now to hang in the towel, to call it quits.
Yeah.
Age has caught up with the person, and they're saying, you know what? I'm done with this.
Yes.
Let me go home and now enjoy what I planned for through the savings that were made during the time of active service and through investments.
Okay.
So it is that time when you say, Well, I've served Inspired Leaders International as a training associate for this long,
Yes.
and I am good to go. Now I have to go home and handle other things.
Interesting. So you bring in the aspect of you have made a choice.
Yes.
Are there times when you have not made that choice,
Yes.
but it still happens? Talk about that.
Those times are really there
Those are
as well. I've
yes.
actually enjoyed that story you've shared about your friend who
Yes.
retires tomorrow.
Yes.
And I'd like to congratulate him. 30 years in the bank.
Yes.
Kudos to you, gentlemen.
Absolutely.
His now might not be one where he has chosen to retire. The Employment Act probably has caught up with him.
Yes.
We are regulated by the Employment Act, which tells us that when you clock 60, that is the last day you're supposed to be at the workplace. When you make 60 years of age,
Okay.
thank you very much. You've been a very good worker. You're still strong. We appreciate you, but please, thank you and goodbye. That is now the other bit that you're talking about.
Yes.
Yes, you might not necessarily want it. You might not necessarily accept it as a
Yes.
person, but it will eventually come.
It is what it is.
And through the discussion that we are going to have, I believe we are going to expound more on each
Yes.
and every one of these.
That's true. You talked about 60, and I'm also aware that in some institutions,
Yes.
it's actually less. It is 55. Wow. The other thing is, what do you say about situations? Because sometimes I do sessions on financial literacy.
Yes.
And one of the things that came to my attention is sometimes life retires us before we expect it to.
Okay.
Take, for example, someone gets involved in an accident.
And they are incapacitated.
Thank you. They can no longer work.
However much they would love to.
However much you'd love to. This is even regardless of age. Someone may be 30. Someone
yes.
may be 35. They get involved in a terrible situation that renders them incapacitated.
It might even be a work-related issue that led them into the
Exactly.
accident.
Would you consider that as a form of retirement? For lack of a better word.
Yes, it is a form of retirement. Now, considering that, of course, you're not going to go back to the workplace
Yes.
and do the normal work because the body cannot do it anymore. You're incapacitated. Probably you've lost your leg, you've lost your arm. You can no longer do the role of a driver.
Yes.
You cannot engage gears. You have one leg.
Yes.
So yes, it is. You've been involuntarily retired. Yes. You've
Yeah.
been forced into retirement.
Thank you. Or even someone leaving a workplace and then you try to apply for jobs
Yes.
until applying for jobs becomes a job.
Full-time job. Yeah, that is a tricky one that I would not want anyone to experience. It is not a good experience.
Yes.
Applying for jobs, becoming a full-time job.
Sure.
It is.
And the reason I bring up these scenarios is because there are young people watching this program. And many times when you talk about retirement, we think, when I'm 60, that's when we can think about. But friends, God forbid, tomorrow you may be moving from one place to another and you are unable to go to work on Monday.
Yes, it happens all the time.
Yes.
So yes, we need to really plan for retirement,
Yes.
and a number of things have to be done.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And let's segue into that bit. I know this program is for everyone, but men in particular.
Yes.
Why should a man, specifically a man, prepare for retirement?
Okay. Thank you very much. You have rightly put it that it is for everyone. We're talking about the men, but even the ladies should listen in because they also have to retire when the time comes.
Yes.
So why should a man prepare for retirement? You have been living a life, you've been leading a life during the work time that you've been at the workplace. Maybe you've been earning a salary, for example, or if you've been into business, you've been making that money, you've been able to, do a few things here and there, and you've been able to earn an income that sustains you.
True.
So why should you plan for retirement? It is because after retirement, it doesn't mean that you're going to end the life there. You're going to still have the bills to pay.
Yes.
TV will not be given to you freely, for example. Food will not come to your table freely.
No.
You have bills to pay.
Yes.
So you have to plan for retirement because those bills will continue being there even after you have left your workplace.
That's true.
The second thing I'd like to speak about is that when you're advanced in age, it is actually more likely that you will have more health complications. I will tell you that For a young man, you look at a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
A 20-year-old might spend 5 years without ever stepping into hospital, and it is okay.
Yes.
They are okay. They get a cold and it rubs off, and they are fine.
Yes.
But a 65-year-old, for example, might not spend the 5 years without going to hospital.
Yeah.
So you plan for retirement so that when that time comes, you're able to foot these bills, the medical bills
That's true.
that you want.
That's true.
You will look at, you gave us an example of the gentleman in the banking sector.
Yes.
This is the sector where I work.
Oh.
It is quite a busy, a fast-paced kind of environment that
Yes.
you work in.
Yes.
When you're in the banking sector, everything is about speed. Your mind is running at 120 kilometers per hour.
True.
So when you retire, when you haven't planned for retirement, the job is now no more, and you have to sit home and do nothing. You will find that you will get bored.
Yes.
Some people, I'll also tell you this, have lost their lives, not because they are so old, but just because they have been bored. You're used to waking up at 6.
Yes.
You start your daily jam,
Yes.
traffic jam routine.
Yes.
You're moving, you're getting into office towards 8. Then you have a meeting at 8. After the meeting, you have a session with your team.
Yes.
After that, you're going into the field to maybe look for business or something like that.
Yes.
So you find your schedule is tight from the time, from 6 or even 5 a.m. in the
Yes.
morning
Yes.
up to late in the evening.
Yes.
So now when you retire and you haven't planned for retirement, that means you're going to go home and sit. You will surely be bored.
Yes.
You will surely be bored. And
Yes.
some people have actually gotten medical conditions simply because of doing nothing.
Just being there.
Doing a lot of nothing. Yeah. So we need to plan for retirement so as to ensure that when that time comes, we will be able to have something to do to keep us occupied,
Yes.
to keep our brains functioning very well.
That's true. In the medical terms, there is a concept called atrophy. And atrophy simply means when the muscle begins to weaken and degenerate. So for example, if you fracture an arm, they put that cast.
Yes.
So they keep that arm in position so that it can heal.
Okay.
But while that arm is in position, the other arm is the one which is doing the work.
Doing the work,
So
supporting.
when they remove this cast after some time and the arm has healed, you find that this arm which was in the cast is smaller and even weaker because it has not been working. So same thing applies to the condition you have just described about someone has been busy throughout their work life. You have been responding to phone calls. You have been running different programs. Here you are, you wake up one day and all you are doing is nothing.
Absolutely not.
This goes on for 2 years, you may not survive the third year.
That is for sure.
Yeah,
That
and I
is
think
for sure.
also another statistic indicates that 3% of people die. No, a good percentage of people, I forget the percentage, a good number of people die 3 years into retirement. 3 years into retirement.
And do you know why that happens? It is this that I've been
Yes,
speaking about.
that's
You
true.
are used to a fast-paced kind of environment.
Yes.
Your brain is at work. Your
Yes.
body is at work.
Yes.
Now you're waking up at 5 a.m. and sitting on your TV set. That is if you even still can afford to pay for
Yes.
TV. And you cannot survive. So it is
Yeah.
important that we plan for retirement.
Yes.
That is very important. Then the other thing I would like to speak about is that even our God,
Yes.
after a heavy 6-day engagement of creating the world,
Yes.
had to take off some time to rest.
True.
So it is important that you plan on what you're going to do when the time for rest comes. Remember, it will come whether you want it or not,
not.
as we shared at the start.
Yes.
So you need to plan and ensure that when it comes, you can actually survive through that time.
That's true. Talking about a man and retirement, last week my family, together with my family, my wife and children, we visited Queen Elizabeth National Park just to take off some time and rest. And while we were doing a boat ride on Kazenga Channel, we found these buffaloes.
Okay.
Now, buffaloes live in herds, but these were individual buffaloes. One buffalo. With no other
buffalo.
no
in the
other
surroundings.
buffaloes. And the guide that was taking us on this boat ride told us that buffalo, specifically that one, is a male buffalo, and it has been now chased out of the herd because it can no longer perform its functions as a male. It is now old. So what happens is a younger one has to take over. They have a fight.
Oh, yes.
And when the younger one wins, the older one is chased from the herd. So all it does, it lives on its own and waits to die a natural death.
That is rather harsh.
Wow. So I asked the lady, so you mean females don't go through this? She said, no. This is males. I turned to my wife and I said, how can we make sure that men avoid this kind of situation? Because the animal kingdom actually teaches a lot of...
It is interesting.
Oh my God.
Why does it always
You know,
have
it
to
happens to the men.
Yes, and the ladies. The
ladies are in
female-
herds, they are okay. Wow. That was a wake-up call. As we talk about a man and retirement, men, I hope we shall not be chased out of community.
because of
Because
clocking
we
a certain
did not
age, we can't function anymore.
Exactly, because we did not build
Interesting.
certain connections, we did not put in place certain mechanisms to ensure that come retirement, we are still relevant to our communities and families. So when should someone start preparing for retirement?
Yesterday,
Hey,
someone should have planned for retirement and started planning for retirement yesterday. As a young man, you have gotten a job after maybe university or even whichever job that you've got.
yes.
Your first pay slip should bear information that will remind you that a time will come and it will no longer be able to come to you. You need to start planning for retirement as soon as you start working, as soon as you start earning an income.
Yes.
Because eventually it will come.
Yes.
The unfortunate bit is that now the bills in retirement, especially the medical bills, are usually
Hi.
much higher. So my 20-year-old, 25-year-old friend who is out there, and you think you have 30 years to plan for retirement, please, better think otherwise.
Yes.
You should have started planning for retirement yesterday.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what is interesting about that is two things. One, it's a form of inverse kind of connection. And by inverse, I mean the time we need the money, because when you're younger, you have less medical things to deal with. But now when you're older, you have all these things to deal with.
Yes.
And guess what? You have no source of income. Like, well, if you have not planned.
Yes.
But the other thing is that some people might actually live longer. Like, you might have more life
after
retirement than your working life. Because God might preserve you up to the age of 90 and you only worked for 30 years, you retired at 60. Here you are, you have about 30 or 40 years after retirement. So what are you going to do with that time? Very important.
It is very
We should
important.
start preparing as soon as yesterday.
Yes.
As soon as we get the job.
Also, investment experts
Yes.
Tell us that that we need to save before we spend, rather than spending and then the little balance that is left,
Yes.
you put it aside.
Yes.
Why are they telling us that? Why are they telling us to save? It is for things like retirement.
Yes.
You need to begin planning for retirement. When you get your paycheck, when you
Yes.
get your profit as a businessman, you need to first keep something before you begin spending on
Yes.
the other things that are usually there.
True.
Because actually, if you don't do that, you might find the income that you have received will
Yes.
not be able to even meet all the bills that you have.
That's
so
true.
if you have saved and you're spending what has been left,
Yeah.
then you're assured of a penny in your
Yes,
pocket.
that's true.
Much later when you retire.
Yes.
Yes.
The book, The Richest Man in Babylon, is a book written by George Clayson. In case you've not heard of that book, please find it
Clayson.
and read it. It's a book on financial management. But one of the principles in that book is that a part of what you earn is yours to keep.
Oh, yes.
And what that means for me is that not all the money you earn is actually yours. For example, if you pay rent, that part of the money that you earn is not yours, it's for your landlord.
Absolutely.
If you have to fuel your car, that money is not
not your
yours,
money.
it's for the petrol station. If you have to buy groceries and food from the market, that money is not yours, it's for the market person. So now, how much of your money is actually yours? You know, sometimes our accounts are like conduits,
That's for
where
sure.
money drops and then it goes to their owners.
It has
so you are
already
like
been
a channel.
spent even before it has been earned. You're already thinking 2-3 months ahead is when you'll have something in your pocket. But
Yes.
the money is going to come, but it will go into 1 or 2 or 3 other things.
That's very
so
true.
it is something that we need to closely pay attention to.
Yes.
Retirement is real and it will come, whether you want it or not. Whether you have made the age or not, you will.
You will. It's just a matter of when.
Oh, yes.
Not if, it's when.
Yes, it is.
Talking about finances, which areas should a man think about when preparing for retirement?
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse. One of the areas is the source the source of income.
Okay.
I tend to forget where the scriptures guide us on this, where we are reminded to have about 7 sources of income.
Yes, it's in Ecclesiastes.
Yes, I need to
7 or 8.
Thereabout.
Yes.
We are reminded that we need to have about 7 sources of income.
Yes.
Don't only look at the salary as the only source of income.
Yes.
What if that job is no more?
True.
What will happen?
Yeah.
Now in retirement, actually the reality is that job is no more.
Yes.
It is not there.
So one has been cut off.
And it was the only one that you had.
So maybe pause a bit there for the men who are watching right now. I want you to just think about it. If I may just give you maybe 30 seconds, okay? Maybe 20 even. Think about how many income sources you have.
Yes.
How many income sources? I hope we are thinking. Okay. Could it be your job? That's 1. Maybe you have a business. That's 2. Maybe you run a consultancy. Sometimes you get work that you do. That's 3. How many income sources do you have? A very important reflection for us to make. Because you might have 1, you're comfortable with it, and one thing COVID taught us is you cannot depend on 1. Because what if that 1 is cut off? Okay, so sources of income.
The second one I would like to speak about, you asked about the areas where a man should prepare for retirement. Look at the area of a home. Let us not begin planning to build our retirement homes when we are in retirement.
Yes.
You need to have an address. You need to have, I usually tell people that you need to have a P.O. box. You need to have a place where they will know that this is this gentleman's home.
Yes.
So, as you're planning for retirement, plan to have a home where you will be found, where your people will locate you if in case they want to trace you.
Okay.
Yes, it is an area that we critically need to look at as we are planning for retirement.
Okay.
Plan to have a home. Then, plan to have something that will keep you busy. We have shared the story of a gentleman who is retiring, but he's excited about retirement. Why is he excited about retirement? It is because he planned for it.
True.
Trust me, if he hadn't planned for retirement,
It would be anxiety.
it would be a different one now. It would be a high level of stress and tending even towards depression. Because you're wondering, where do I start?
True.
I mean, I've been having this job for all this long. Probably I've been having a company car. It takes me anywhere I want. It is fuel serviced and all that.
True.
I've been getting airtime of 100,000 every month. Some employers actually give that. Yes, I've been getting all these things. I've been getting medical insurance. Now they're telling me that, boss, thank you very much for the 35 years you've given us. Please, it's time to leave. So, if you do not plan on something that will keep you busy, you will be in trouble.
So in terms of busy, it could be an income source.
Yes.
Something, a business, some work. It could also be voluntary, like voluntary service.
There are boards, a number of boards that require the seniors. You could get one of them and something that will keep you busy. Apply for. It's not evil to apply for this. Make a few contacts.
True.
Come to Inspired Leaders International and talk to Jesse and Sam and say, you know what, I'm approaching retirement. Is it possible that you could? My brain is still functioning very well. Can I be fixed somewhere on a board? I offer my advice because I have expertise in this and this area. So you have to get something that will keep you busy. I want to talk about this, and it is a very important element. It is about the marriage relationship that you have. If you do not invest in this relationship, when you're still active in service, retirement is not going to be a simple place for you to be chased out like the buffalo whistle. That is for sure.
Okay. We are going to take a short break. And right after the break, we shall be talking about that very point that Amos has brought up. How do we prepare for retirement in the context of marriage? This is the Inspired Family Leader Program. Tonight we are talking about retirement with enjoyment. Retirement with enjoyment. What are some of the things we need to do to ensure that when that time comes, we can happily move on and transition to the next phase of life? Keep watching. See you after the break.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.
Just one wife. That you need the leadership skills of a general.
Yes.
To lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.
Your raw material is money,
Of course.
but it is not your money.
It is not
That is
yours.
the biggest challenge. So if you do not fear God, you will end up misappropriating this money and taking it to be your own. Yet it is just what you're using to do the work that you're doing.
So ego is very dangerous to me, and we should avoid the extremes.
This program exists to equip, challenge, and empower men to expand their family leadership capacity for national transformation.
Welcome back to the Inspired Family Leader Program. Tonight we are talking about retirement. And just before the break, we talked about what retirement is, when the appropriate time to start thinking about retirement is, and we said it is as soon as you get your first paycheck. That paycheck should remind you that one day it will not be there. So as soon as yesterday, please start preparing for retirement. We touched on a number of things, but one particular area that we touched as we left off for the break was the aspect of relationships, and specifically marriage relationships for us as men. A research indicates that 90% of our health in retirement is dependent on relationships. So we actually talk about physical health, but a lot of that is dependent on our relationships. And we know that because there has been a lot of mental health challenges. People nearing retirement beginning to get some conditions like dementia, a number of those. A lot of that is largely because of relationships. And 80% of these relationships are not work relationships. They are in-house relationships. Here we are talking about relationships with your spouse and with your children. Amos, tell us more about the significance of preparing for retirement by building a healthy relationship with our family members, beginning with our wives and other children.
Okay, thank you very much, Jesse. We had just hinted on it before we took the break. How is it important for you to have a strong marriage relationship or a relationship with your spouse? How is it helpful when you get into retirement? And this is what I want to put across. You have been, say, a CEO of a company. You've been a managing director of an organization, and you've been taken away by the work that you've been doing, because of course some of these high roles come up with a lot of tasks, and you find that you require a lot of time to perform them.
Yes.
And you probably have not had a good relationship with your spouse to begin with. When you're in retirement and the very big jargons and titles have been removed from your back,
Yes.
you will go back to this woman. How are you going to enjoy retirement when you do not have a relationship with your wife? Remember, now you're in the same space. You're no longer on a flight to probably maybe the US or wherever, or Pretoria for a business trip or whatever it is. Now you're at home. You do not have a
Physical
relationship.
address. Yes.
So I would advise men to build relationships with their spouses as a way of planning for their retirement.
Yes.
I was having a light moment with you earlier that as I was coming to the show, I decided to come with my wife. Why? I am building a relationship. I'm investing into
Yes.
my retirement.
Yes.
This is a Saturday that is supposed to be her time, that I'm supposed to be with her.
Yes.
But now that I have this to do, I've decided not to abandon her, to leave her at home. And I've said, let me spend some time with her while I am on set,
Yes.
even here. So I am building a bond.
Yes.
I am investing
Yes.
for retirement.
Retirement.
So that when I am there, we have a relationship.
Okay.
I'm not meeting a stranger.
Yes.
Yes.
So as you share that, something comes to mind is Many times we think about retirement. When we think about retirement, we think about money, investment, and which is good. And we've talked about it, and we shall even add more thoughts on that. What I'm gathering here is this. When I get some money and I go away with my wife and we have our time together, that is an investment towards my retirement.
Absolutely. It is an investment. You're investing for the future.
You're investing for the future. A good way of looking at it.
Yes.
We are investing for the future. When we think about investing for the future, we think about buying shares, buying land, planting trees, putting up rentals, beautiful investment ideas and financial concepts.
Yes.
But then when I take my wife out, when I take my children out, I am preparing for retirement.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is where my biology teacher would say, let's have a moment of silence to appreciate that concept.
So it is a concept that you can look at lightly, but it is an investment that will save you much later.
Yes.
Remember, we have recently just come out of the lockdown.
Yes.
And interestingly, men fell in love with their wives during the lockdown. They were strangers.
Yes.
They didn't know one another.
Yes.
They had not been in the same space for some time.
That's true.
Men were busy doing a number of things. So just look at that. This is the person that you're going to be with.
Yes.
COVID put us in our places.
Yes.
It confined us in particular areas.
Yes.
And the busy schedules were cut down a bit.
Sure.
So just look at retirement through that lens of the COVID-19 lockdown.
Yes. There is a couple I know. The man was really active, involved in his work life. The woman was not as busy then. She was more with raising the children. But the man was the one on the move. They moved from one place to another because of his work schedule. Very good couple, closely connected. Many years later, the man retired. Guess who is now the breadwinner?
The woman.
Now imagine when this man was the one providing a
show.
Imagine he was feeling like the rest of you. Now today the woman is the one earning the money. The man is largely retired, so he doesn't earn he doesn't bring in as much as the wife. But thankfully their relationship has always been good. So they are still enjoying their life.
I believe it is smooth.
Very much.
He invested while he still could.
He invested in her by spending time and connecting better with her. Beautiful concept. Great. So let's talk about the aspect of health. Because it is in retirement when these situations come up. Lifestyle-related diseases, age-related diseases. What can a man do to maintain good health so as to enjoy retirement in regards to health?
Thank you. It is an important question. It's an important aspect that we really need to look at. How can you ensure that your health is good while you're in retirement? First and foremost, look at the food that you eat. You need to check your diet as a man. You shouldn't be crushing everything that crosses your path. Look at the diet. If possible, have a balanced diet. Eat only what is required by your body. Honestly speaking, why would you be, as a man, eating a whole kilogram or even 2 kilograms of whatever animal that I might not talk about? It is about knowing what the body requires. As a child, as a 15-year-old, you can crush, you can eat an entire kilogram and the body will be okay with it. But as you're aging, you need to tone down on some of these things. Another area I would like to speak about is physical fitness, working out. It is important that as we are advancing in age, we exercise these bodies of ours. A simple exercise, just as simple as taking a walk. Take a 30-minute walk. It is free of charge. How much do they charge to walk on the street?
Nothing.
It's absolutely free.
I mean, at 7 p.m., this program starts at 9 p.m. East African time. At 7 p.m., it was about 6:30. I went to do one of my routine runs, and I just went up the road, did a couple of runs for about 30 minutes, came back home, took a shower, and left the house to come for the program.
And you feel better.
I didn't pay anything.
No, you didn't.
Apart from just being on the road.
No, you didn't. So it is important that, we look at some of these. Physical exercise is very, very important.
That's true.
And it is a concept. When you move around the roads, today you'll discover that a number of people are adopting it. People are doing it. If you've not been doing it, please start. You need to exercise your body.
That's true.
The other one is about medical checkups.
Very important.
It is about medical checkups. A young man can survive without ever having to take a medical checkup for even 10 years, 15, 20 years. But when you're advancing in age, it is advisable that once in a while you do these medical checkups.
Yeah.
You can actually do it on a monthly or even a quarterly. After
Yes.
3 months,
Yes.
go and take a medical checkup. Why? Because if in case there's anything that is discovered,
Yeah.
it can be treated at a younger stage.
Yes.
Rather than waiting and it knocks you off and it is so advanced and it can't be treated.
Yes.
So let's get into the habit of taking the medical
check.
checkups.
And now that we are talking about medical checks, and
Yes.
we are talking to men specifically, again, like I said, program is for everyone, but men,
Yes.
I want to encourage us, men, beyond the age of 40, let's begin to do our prostate cancer screening. That thing there is something that we need to pay attention to. Because many times, by the time you begin to feel the symptom, by the time you begin to feel the symptoms of anything,
It has
that
started eating
disease
you up.
has already started spreading. And it is as simple. I did it early this year. All it takes is do a blood test. The blood test will indicate whether your prostate gland is in the normal size or it has begun to enlarge.
To enlarge.
If the blood test indicates that it has begun to enlarge, they can do another test to see the extent of enlargement. But if the blood test shows that your prostate is normal, that's okay. You just need to do this every year, at least. Because for some men, by the time it is detected, it is too late.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately, we have lost people because of that. So men, if you're watching, please, ladies, remind your man, remind your father, remind your husband, remind your brother every year. Set a campaign and say, as a family, all the men do this. And of course, the ladies, there is also the programs for breast cancer and everything, but men in particular, medical checks.
Thank you. The other one is, the other element I would like to speak about is sleep. Having enough sleep.
Yes.
Doctors recommend, is it 6 or 7 hours or 8 hours?
Yes.
How many times do we have these 8 hours of sleep?
Yes.
Social
In
media
fact,
has
sometimes we
worsened.
praise ourselves
Yes.
by how
For
few hours we
yes.
sleep.
I only
sleep for 3 hours.
4 hours.
One day you'll pay for it.
It has a toll on your health. Eventually, you need to have enough rest.
Yeah.
Avoiding toxic relationships as you're advancing in age.
Yes.
The man out there.
Yes.
Avoid these relationships that are not building you in any way.
Yes.
Why should you be in a relationship with these friends of yours that are only aiming at putting you down?
Yes.
As you're trying out this business investment, they are saying you can never succeed at that one. You don't even waste your time.
Yeah.
They are not speaking blessings into the things that you're doing. They are not giving you advice to make you better. They
Yes.
are pulling you down. Anything that you come up with, they are the ones who go back and speak ill about you and what have you. Cut
Yes.
these relationships. You don't
Yes.
need this stress in your advanced
Yes.
age.
You deserve to be emotionally hygienic.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
detoxify yourself of some people who are toxic, negative, and energy draining. Those ones cut out so that you can have more healthy ways of thought, of thinking, and have better connections and associations. Very important point.
Yes. The last one I'd like to speak about is taking work breaks.
Okay.
Gentlemen, in retirement, you're no longer 20, you're no longer 30.
Yes.
Take work breaks. If you used
Yes.
to do an assignment for 6 hours non-stop,
Yes.
now after 1 hour, walk around, get a glass of water, stretch a bit and what have you. You cannot perform
Yes.
as a teenager anymore.
Yes.
You can't, that is for sure. So work breaks are very important. As
Yes.
you're doing whatever you're doing in your retirement, take those breaks to, try to work on your body.
That's true. Amos, as you share this, I realize I think sometimes as men, we take care of our cars better than we take care of our bodies. You know why? When you're looking for fuel to put in your car, you're cautious of which petrol station. Some people just use two
Yes.
without mentioning names,
Yes.
but you know that too.
I must be one of those.
Because you trust that there are quality fuels there. You take your car regularly for service. You check it. But that is how we should be treating our bodies. Sometimes we just drop junk into the body. But how will you expect your vehicle to perform with junk fuel? How will you expect your vehicle to perform if you don't service it regularly? We take better care of. We even clean them and wash them.
Every morning, clean.
Every morning.
When there's dust somewhere, all mud, you pass by the washing bay and you have it cleared.
And
but your
yet,
body
exactly, and yet
flattered.
that car has spare parts. Your body has no spare parts.
nothing at all.
You will not get a spare liver. You will not get a spare heart. You will not get a spare prostate. You will not get a spare. But here we are. Let us not abuse our bodies. Let us build our bodies so that we can retire with enjoyment. Let us go back to the Creator with all the body parts He gave us, so that you don't reach and you say, where is the heart I gave you?
You're doing accountability. The list, the
Exactly.
checklist, others are not there. You
Yes.
can't account for them.
Otherwise, some parts are going to be cut out because we did not prepare from the physical angle. Wow, this is getting interesting. Let's talk about, we had already talked about the aspect of finances, but we can get back to it a little bit more. What are some of the things a man needs to consider in the area of finances and investments? I know we had talked about savings. For example, saving before we spend, because if we try to save after spending, you may have nothing left.
Absolutely.
What investment and savings ideas would you give to a man in preparation for retirement?
Thank you very much. I will begin by sharing a story of one of my friends who was working with a credible institution in this city of ours.
Yes.
In Kampala. He had made his money, and when retirement came, he, of course, went home like the rest have been doing.
Yes.
So he had his very many hundreds of millions saved. So he decided to pick this money and put it in a particular place to earn a little bit of income off this money that he had saved through this time.
Yes.
I want to assure you that the boys out there on the streets cleared all this money. Imagine you've earned hundreds of millions and you've brought it, saved it, you have decided to keep it, to have it invested in future.
Yes.
He brought it, put it in an investment, and it was all cleared.
Wiped out
Totally and completely. What could have been the reason? One of the reasons why this happened, I think why this could have happened, is because probably he started this late.
Yes.
I would like to believe probably if he had maybe invested in his 30s and tried it out a bit, and maybe it had been taken, maybe he would have learned a lesson from this.
Yeah.
In his 40s, if he had tried it out again, and maybe this time half of it is cleared, at least he would retain the other half and survive a bit. So that in his 50s, the investment that now he makes, he has about 20 years of experience in this particular field.
Yes.
He probably would have performed better.
Yeah.
So as men, I think we need to start early. We need to start investing early.
Yes.
Let us not jump onto the bandwagons much later when we even don't know what we are going to invest in.
Absolutely. I think investing in unfamiliar ventures. Someone has been seated in an office for 30 years. Here you are, you get your money from your social security fund. Here in Uganda, we have National Social Security Fund, NSSF. And they released a statistic in relation to what you've just shared, that within 2 years, 98% of the people have wiped out the money they received.
2 years.
2 years.
You have wiped out what you saved for 30 years.
30 years. And I think partly it's people investing out of excitement. You've never reared goats, and people tell you there is money in goats, there is money in goats. You don't even know. You don't even know how a sick goat looks like. So investing in unfamiliar ventures is one of the things that we need to avoid.
Yes. Then the other thing is we need to take financial literacy lessons.
Yes.
Early enough.
Yes.
We need to be advised on where we should invest, on what we should invest in.
Yes.
These lessons are very important.
Very important.
We get busy with, chasing money and doing all the other things.
Yes.
And we forget to look out for these lessons. And these services are offered.
That's
I believe
true.
Inspired,
Absolutely.
You guys have this.
We do.
Yes.
And we advise our clients on some of the things they can do.
Absolutely. So when you have this advice, when you take some of these lessons, you're able to make more informed decisions.
Yes.
You'll not go into a business, when you don't have an idea of what the business is all about.
Yes.
So it is important that we take the financial
That's true.
literacy lessons.
Yeah. Talking about that, there is a man who received his savings, and it was about 1 billion Uganda shillings. 1 billion Uganda shillings.
Wow.
Okay, so 1 billion would be about $300,000. $300,000. So this man was planning like a normal African, go and build a retirement house. Where? In the village. They said, wait. Where have you spent most of your life? Have you been living in the village or in town? The man said, I've been living in town. So you cannot go to retire from the village. You have been in town. You have hardly gone to the village. You're now going to retire in the village. You don't know the people there.
You don't have friends.
You have no associations there.
You don't know the businesses that are run in the village.
Yes.
You don't know the lifestyle. You don't know the interests, the areas of interest of your neighbors who are going to be your neighbors. You cannot.
So the man thankfully landed in the hands of a good financial advisor and said, look, as you go higher in life, let us make sure that we invest in safe investments. Safe investments, they are not high risk. They are low risk, but also low return. With 1 billion, he could still get a good monthly income. So what they advised him is, look, you have been earning monthly income. If you build a home, that's a liability because you're not going to use that home to generate monthly income. You're going to sleep in it. In fact,
you're spending actually on it.
To painting, security, cleaning, security, everything. So they advised him, no. Let us invest for you this money in a safe place every single month. You'll be getting your monthly income. So they walked him through that journey, and I borrowed that concept when you said invest in financial literacy classes. If we keep depending on common sense, we shall make common mistakes. So let us invest. There are financial advisors out there that will help you. Depending on where you are, they can advise on what investment you need to be making so that by the time you retire with enjoyment.
Budgeting is another area that I would like to speak about.
Yes.
As we are advancing. Actually, this one now cuts across. Even when you're much younger, even if you haven't yet clocked the age of retirement, budgeting is very key.
Yes.
Have your budget cut out.
Yes.
Know that I am going to earn 1 million, but I'm spending 100,000 on rent.
Yes.
I have a circle where I'm saving money.
Yes.
I'm going to save another 50,000.
Yes.
Have a budget cut out.
That's true.
Know that I'm going to spend on this.
Yes.
Not this excitement of only spending. As something comes to your mind, you spend on it. Then you find what you were supposed to have spent on. The money is not there, and you have to spend on it.
That's
so you end up, trying to look around and see how to. Let us budget. Let us have budgets that help us know how we are going to spend the funds that we make. Then the other one I would like to speak about, I know I've spoken about it, but I want to re-emphasize it. Let us invest early. Let us invest early.
Yes.
Let us not wait for much later to begin burning our fingers.
True.
When you burn your fingers at a younger age,
Yes.
you learn your lessons, you pick your lessons, and you move with them.
Yes.
You're better. If it is a retail shop, for example,
Yeah.
that you have started at 30, you will have a few, challenges as it goes on. Of course, every business comes with its own challenges.
That's true.
But by the time you're 50, you're more grounded. You know what you have been through in the 15, 20 years that you've run this business. So by the time you clock 55 or 60 when you're going to retire, you know a number of things about this business.
Yes.
And you will seamlessly transition from the work kind of setting to this business because you have been having an idea about it. You've been running it in the background. So let us invest early and not wait to have our billions taken away by other people who are out there eagerly waiting. Meanwhile, they want you to make mistakes and they show you how to use your money.
That's true.
It is unfortunate, but we need to start.
Wow.
Yes.
That's paying heavily for a lesson that we could have learned much earlier in life.
Absolutely.
I think the Chinese have a saying that the best time to plant a tree, there are two best times to plant a tree. One is 20 years ago.
Okay.
But now that we can't go back 20 years ago into the past, then the second best time to plant a tree is now. Because this tree that you plant today, in the next 3 or 4 years or 5 years, this tree will have grown big enough to give you a shade. So men, in case you have not started thinking about these things, remember, it is never too late to begin somewhere. This is the time to pause, reflect, and begin to ask yourself, if I stopped working today, what would life look like? With intentional planning, like we have been talking about today, I believe life can get better. Retirement can be something that someone rephrased and said, look, it is retirement, whereby you now put on new tires.
Yes.
Fresh tires. You retire. So now you have put on fresh tires, ready to hit the road. And life can even get better in retirement, because now you have gone to something that you love, you're doing something at your pace, you are in charge of your life. You literally own your schedule, you own your life because you took time to plan.
Absolutely.
Amos, look in that camera and give your parting shots to a man out there. What would you say to a man in conclusion about retirement?
Thank you very much, Jesse. And to the man out there that is watching us this evening, just know that retirement will come, whether you like it or not. Whether you have planned for it or not, it will come. How I pray that you plan for it, so that when it comes, you retire, you put on new tires to run the journey even better. Retirement comes with a lot of ailments and health complications, but these can be seamless if you have budgeted, if you have put aside funds to see to it that they will take you through when you're in retirement. Do not burden your children. Do not think you're going to spend the rest of your life being supported by relatives or your friends. Just know that even in retirement, there are some friends who will never pick up your phone calls, yet they call you on a daily basis. So let us plan to retire. We can only retire when we actually have the new tires to put onto our vehicles, which in this case is the human being. We can only retire when we have the tires for our lives. I wish you all the best, and I wish you God's blessings. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Amos. Indeed, men, don't become someone's burden in retirement. Plan now. One time after Jesus had preached a powerful sermon, he concluded by saying, now that you know these things, you'll be blessed when you do them. It is one thing to know them. It is another thing to do them. The blessing comes not with the knowing, but with the doing. Men, let's go and prepare to retire honorably, responsibly, so that we can enjoy our retirement and have fun with our close relationships. It's been Jesse and Ebiona hosting you tonight on the Inspired Family Leader Program, talking about retirement with enjoyment. Have a good night. God bless you.
Just one wife, that you need the leadership skills of a general.
Yes.
To lead an army of one woman.
So we have to take a lot of pain, a lot of effort to teach children how to get along with one another.